Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing. Today, we have a special guest on the line. An interview with somebody that I knew from the inside. But we're going to go ahead and get it started right now. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, dude?
That was cracking out, King.
So, you want to introduce yourself however you want, man?
My name is Joe Herrera. I'm a resident from Orange County, California.
Cool, cool.
Howdy.
So, talk to me. Talk to me about when you got sentenced, man. How did that feel? Walk me through how old you were, what year it was, and how you felt.
Well, when I got sentenced, I was 19 years old. I had been in and out of the juvenile hall system, California Youth Authority. I had parole from the Youth Authority. I was out for about 4 months. I picked up a premeditated attempted murder, gang related, and I was sentenced to 12 years to life in California State Prison.
So you were.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
Going to prison, bro, was like 19 years old, just getting up there and pretty much just naive to the whole system. I mean, at that age, it might sound a little ironic because where I come from, I was raised by gang members pretty much. So getting to prison, it's like some kids, they look forward to going to college and going to Harvard, like they got accepted. I had made it to prison, and that was pretty much where I wanted to be at that age.
That's a trip that you should say, man. That's a trip that you say you were 19 because I found myself in Iraq at the age of 19, man. So I understand being that age. So you were part of a street gang, and you say you were conducting yourself like a regular gang member. Like, hey, you were headed to prison, and you said you made it.
Yeah, pretty much. I was from the Logan Street gang, and here in Orange County, not to be confused with Logan Heights in San Diego, but we're one of the oldest ones out of Orange County, if not the oldest. But one of the things was, I was raised in that environment. My uncles, everybody that I seen, the biggest Mexican that I seen actually, with the most prettiest girls, the most money, the nicest car, they're paroling from prison. This is back during the 80s, and those are my idols. That's the guys I looked up to in the neighborhood. So when I made it to prison, I figured, I made it to the big house. This is what it is, But that was short lived.
It's funny you should say that because you said it's short lived. So you saw these individuals come back, probably buff from lifting the weights, probably tattooed, right? They got all the hyenas with them. They got all the chicks. Now, what besides reception? What first prison did you touch down at?
My first prison was Pelican Bay State Prison.
Damn, dude, what year was that?
2000. 2000.
Two.
That was my first prison. Yeah.
Were you there for that big giant riot that's all over YouTube back in the day?
Yeah, I was there.
Were you on that same yard?
Yeah, I was on the yard. I had just got off orientation when it happened. I was on the yard when it cracked.
Oh man, I don't know if we should jump right into. Hold on, man. So I didn't even know this. So you touched down. Did you run into anybody that you knew there? Any familiar faces?
I knew one or two guys, but that wasn't it. I was pretty much, I was the pescado on the yard. I was the fish. So, but there was a lot of older guys that I had met in the shoe.
Okay, so man, so you get put on orientation status, and for those of you guys who don't know, orientation status is where you go through classification. They figure out where they're gonna put you, and what yard was that, man? Bravo yard?
Yeah, that was B yard.
What was that? Level 4?
Level 4, 180.
Wow, dude. So, walk me. Was that the first incident or your first taste of prison?
No, I was already, well, that was my first case. That was my first yard, my first actual prison yard, but I was already causing havoc And reception center, I think I stood in reception center in and out of the hole for like a year.
What were you?
And,
What? I know I got the crowd wanting to hear about the big riot, man. But what were you doing in the reception? Like little fights here and there. Maybe some
a
stabbings,
couple
missions.
little batteries, slicing, investigations for
Yeah.
stabbing,
Okay.
but nothing I got caught for.
All right, man. So the day of the massive riot, walk us through it.
Yeah, well, we're basically told to come to the yard. We weren't told exactly what for, because we're freshly off orientation. So when we got to the yard, uh, my Sally was an older cat. He was about, I want to say 50, and he was basically giving me the schooling and letting me know, like, hey, I got ran down. This is what's gonna happen. Just stay with me. And one of the homies is gonna come give us a couple of knives and just be prepared. And I pretty much wasn't told nothing. I got a knife. They were handing them out. One of the guys came up with like a rain slicker, had sewn pockets inside of it. And he must have had at least about 20 something knives, just all in the slicker, just handing them out
On the yard?
on the yard.
Damn, dude, like like they must have had them stashed or in the trash can or the yard crew. I don't, I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
so dude,
we got methods.
yeah, for sure. Was it raining that day?
I had like a well, 90% of the days it rains, but that day it was drizzling a little bit, but not much.
Was your adrenaline going, your anxiety, or were you pretty calmado before it kicked off?
No, well, you're drilling when something's gonna happen like that. You're always gonna go. If anybody says that they don't have like a fear, there's always fear when you're going into battle, bro. Like, and that's what keeps you alive.
Will you say you
But
were more fear about the enemy you were fighting or the gunners in the tower or all of the above?
that's all of the above because you don't know what's gonna happen, especially in something. I knew it was gonna be big. I didn't know exactly how big it was gonna be, but yeah, it was pretty big.
And the Southerners went off on the blacks, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Do you think that the blacks had an idea of what was about to crack off?
No, I don't think they did. We pretty much had the element of surprise on them. The tension had been building up, from my understanding, after talking to the homies later on about, what all transpired. Because, like I said, I was the fish on the yard. I didn't really know much,
Right.
other than I was told to strap up and get ready for war.
Yeah. So somebody makes a move and then it's on and cracking.
Yeah, that's once it cracked. And I don't know if you've been in a fight for like more than a couple of minutes, but when you got to fight that long and that hard, bro, I mean, you get to the point where, like, man, you're gassed. We got up, we got down, we got up, we got down. I think the riot lasted about a total of 17 minutes.
Damn, dude. Damn. Um, I'm gonna have to find that video on YouTube and link it to this exact episode right here, man. Because I'm pretty sure everybody has already seen it. It's probably one of the most famous riots, dude. And tell you the truth, I never even knew that you were in that one, man. Um, I'm not surprised, bro. Like the way you carry yourself inside, very calm, very respectful. I'm not surprised, man. Usually the ones that have seen some stuff are quiet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so the Mini 14, do you when you're in the biggest riot, do you hear it crack or no?
You know what? When you're going at it and you're just handling your business, like, you hear it, but you don't hear it till after it goes off. And it was going off. They shot a lot. I don't forgot exactly how many rounds they shot exactly, but it got to the point where, like, I mean, you're fearing, but you're also fearing you're not going to get down unless everybody else gets down. But you're trying to pay attention to the gunner as much as possible, but you really can't in something like that.
Right. And did you know that somebody had gotten killed in that initially?
Initially, I didn't know because I was like I wasn't by the basketball court. I was more on the track.
Yeah.
And initially, no, we didn't.
Did the whites assist on that one?
Nah, the Whites didn't assist on my side of the yard.
Oh, they were probably just staying out the way. Um, After that, was there a long lockdown, an investigation?
We're on lockdown for I want to say about a year until they started transferring all us out. What they did to the yard is they just basically flipped it.
Right.
I know they put me on a bus to Corcoran to New Corcoran.
Did you catch a shoe term there, or was that another 180?
There was so many people in that riot. They couldn't write up everybody. There was a couple of guys that actually caught cases over it. There was actually a lot of them, but I wasn't one of them, thankfully.
Let me let me ask you a question. You don't got to answer if you don't want. Knowing that a fellow Southerner got shot, was there hostility? As far as was the Southerners upset about that? That a cop had shot one of you guys?
Yeah, but a lot of us understand as far as when it comes to stuff like when we're in a riot, we do understand to a certain extent that it's part of it. You know, those are possibilities that are going to happen. As a warrior, with a warrior mentality, bro, and that's at that point in my life at least, that's what I thought. You know, like, hey, it is what it is. It's part of the game.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, there was tension afterwards. You know, there was talks. There was some homies that were disgruntled about it, and you know they felt like we needed to get off on the cops. But there's also the element of the other guys that are like, hey, this is part of it. You guys got to accept it. We got to move on.
I hear you, man. That's one of the crazy things about California prisons and in general, you know, because it's from the Bay all the way down to Ironwood, Calipas, Centinela. You know, orders are orders, and if the orders are to go, then the orders are to go.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
So, you, man, it sounds to me that you were pretty involved in the mix. Um, Aside from that major riot, were there another incident that stood out to you, or kind of like took you aback, or were you like, damn?
Well, there was another incident. I think we wind up going once we all transferred to Sad State Prison because they brought busloads from Pelican Bay down to Sad and they brought busloads from around the prison because they were opening up a yard, and it was a level 4 180 as well. And not too long after we got there, I think we wind up having a riot with the whites, and during that riot, which was a missed call by one of the shot callers at the time. But literally, it was an ugly riot because it must have been at least about 90 Sureños against like maybe 30 whites.
Yeah.
And it was ugly for them.
Right.
But I remember at one point, me and another one of the homies were stabbing this dude, but we had both been pepper sprayed already and could barely see. This was like the third time we had gotten up after we had been contained because they didn't have enough officers to respond because both sides of the yards were getting off. And there's a big wall in the middle, so you can't see the lower yard and upper yard whatsoever. But you could hear them getting off. And one yard would get put down and all the officers would run to respond to the other side. And then we'd all get back up. And it just kept on going for a while. But I remember at one point we were stabbing this dude, and I could just hear him yelling, "Hey, I'm a Sureño." And we both backed up. We had actually stabbed one of our own homies on accident because he was white.
Damn, dude, that's the first. That's like a first of a story that I hear like that, man.
Yeah, it was one of those.
You know, because I've heard stories where the suspect will accidentally slice his own fingers, you know what I mean, or stab
Yeah, it's like,
stab his homie in
yeah.
the process of stabbing another dude. But you guys were just straight on this guy. Did you just Did you know who the dude was? You didn't recognize him, or you didn't know who the guy was at all?
Well, like I was saying, we're pepper spray, so we could barely
Oh,
see already. We're squinting to barely see, and I could barely make out. All I know is this guy was in front of us, and he looked white, and we just went. And the guy that I was with, he had been pepper sprayed as well. I remember at one point when we got down, I had told him like, "Hey, bro, I can't see. Just if we get back up, just let me know. Let me know." And he was like, "All right, just keep on following me." So when he got back up, I got back up,
um,
and we wind up attacking this other homie of ours.
did you guys inflict serious injuries on that guy, or were they kind of like superficial? The homie was kind of all right.
I think we had stabbed him like about 6 times because I remember after he came back from the hospital, he knew who did it, and we knew who he was, and we basically wrote him a kite and told him, "Hey, bro, like, hey, it's Spence up, but you know, we
That's it.
couldn't see." We explained to him what happened, and he could have been mad about it. He could have went the other way with it, but he was pretty understanding. And he's like, "Hey, man, it happened. It happened. Don't even worry about it."
That's a trip, dude. And it's funny you should say that because I was involved in a Code 3 riot in Centinela, the blacks and the Mexicans. This is one that I haven't spoke on yet. And as I'm running up to about four sureños, we're jumping one black dude, man. Our female partner pepper sprayed me and the other partner in the face with the pepper spray. You know, she was just spraying everywhere. And yeah, my eyes shut, man. My eyes shut, and I could feel the dudes fighting around my ankles, bro. It was sketchy. It was sketchy, man. Um, so those whites in that riot, they got hurt pretty bad. Like, did anybody get life flighted?
Yeah, there was a couple life flights on that one. 'Cause I know one on the lower yard for sure. On the upper yard, I think there was two.
And and bro, like this whole time to you, are you like normal program? Like, hey, this is it. This is my world. I did you feel like you would get to go home? Like you didn't weren't gonna go home?
No, at that point in my sentence, during the '90s, early 2000s, even beforehand, lifers weren't getting parole. They didn't have a chance to go home. So, and I had accepted it when I got in life. And when I went up to prison, I mean, you're a soldier. It is what it is. You're the backbone. You're a lifer. You got to put in work. I took it as gang banging on the street. I was a full fledged gang member on the street. I'm a full fledged gang member in prison.
Did you have hope?
Nah, hope wasn't alive. I thought I was gonna at that point. I thought I was gonna die in prison.
Damn, man. Damn. That's we're getting into some like serious conversation here because for a young man in a violent world to not have hope is probably one of the most dangerous things, if not the most dangerous things.
Yeah, it is. Most definitely.
Um, Talk to me about the shoe. You said you did a few years in the shoe, man.
Well, altogether, because I would do 6 years. I think the longest stint I did in the shoe was like about 6 years. I would do 6 years. I did 3 years here. Another 2 years there. It all totaled up to about 14 years in the shoe program.
When you were in the shoe, did it give you a sense of, now I'm not gonna say belonging. Well, yeah, like a sense of belonging, like a sense of power. Maybe you earned some stripes or something.
Yeah, going to the shoe is for me it was very educational. I don't know the experience of other and I hear it used a lot. I mean, I used to refer to myself as a convict. I didn't like the inmate label only because I always referred to the old code of conduct, and I even up to the day I paroled. I mean, I kept that conduct, but I mean, going to the shoe was very educational. When I went to prison, I didn't know how to read that good, but in the shoe, I took to educating myself and literally reading books. A lot of the older guys encouraged education, which I took to, and honestly, I'm thankful for that today.
So you got
But
put. Go ahead.
but being in the shoes, like it was militant for me. Like we're on group yard together. You go out there, you work out, you have this discipline, and I thrived on that. I like that. Honestly, for people in the military, my son's a Marine, and you know what? I miss my calling. I remember thinking that when I was in the shoe, like man, because I loved it. I loved that whole military mind frame, and that's pretty much what uh, the ideology that I fed into as far as the gang culture in there.
Right. So, man, for the viewers out there, he did in fact carry himself like a convict. Straight up, straight up. As a matter of fact, he tapped into my YouTube. He must have saw me on there. I recognized the dude, and we're gonna go into that. And yeah, the way he carried himself. And here's the trip, bro. Like, there's something to be said about people in general that carry themselves in that manner, man. Because that's far and few in between. I'll tell you the truth, man. My whole channel, I left the department because I was disgusted with my administration, disgusted with the higher ups. I kid you not, man. Convicts act better and are more ethical than our managers, man. What do you think about that?
Well, I can speak from my experience with you, and as far as other lieutenants from Donovan, in regard to that, I mean, the officers for me, because I carried myself a certain way. I gave respect and I got respect, and that's pretty much the way I did my time, and I never had no problems. I can't say whether I was on Charlie Yard, I was in New Folsom, anywhere I went, I've never really had any kind of major problems with correctional officers in that regard, especially with I mean, I know you, and that's why I hit you up because you always carried yourself in a certain way. I respected that. Like I told you, it's like, hey man, I give you props, man, because you carried yourself like a man. Then you said it a couple of times. I think I've listened to a couple of your videos, and you basically put it out there. Hey, I'll treat you like you treat me, man. I'm a human being. You're a human being, and bam. And just like the golden rule, man. If there's assholes everywhere. Uh, Whatever walk of life, there's gonna whether it's a gang member, a criminal, a correction officer, a cop. You have good ones and you got bad ones. You
Right.
got assholes and you got cool ass individuals. And for the most part, I mean, most of the correctional officers that I knew, hey, they're doing their job. But of course, you got the assholes too, just like you got asshole gang members.
Right. Nah, you're right, man. You're right. So you end up going to Donovan, man. Donovan, what you remember the year you got there?
I got there in 2014. Uh, I believe it was May of 2014. And the first cell, I don't know if you remember him, but I want to give him a shout out, which is Gilbert Bates, Weasel from National City.
Okay. Uh,
They put me in his cell.
Charlie Yard.
Yeah, on Charlie Yard. That's correct.
So yeah, man, I touched down 2014 also. Like it was like January 1st, 2015 when I touched down.
Yep.
Um, and on my channel, oh god, I go off on tangents about RJD Charlie R Level 4. What do you were you blown away at how that yard operated?
Oh, definitely. That yard was it was a cesspool. I've never seen. It's like the wild, wild west. That yard, I've never seen. In all my stay in prison, I never seen anything like it. It was a different kind of world for me. Now, what I'm thankful for there is, yeah, for a majority of that yard is nothing but just bad news, right?
Right.
Bad people. But we're a small population, but there was a core group of lifers, and we did our thing. We minded our business. We stayed out the way, and that I was thankful for. And for the most part, all the officers seen who we were. All the officers knew who we were. They're like, hey, because when you got programmers minding their business, doing most of the officers like, all right, those dudes are cool.
Yeah, dude, it's like a fresh of breath air, especially on that yard. But dude, what for there I could count probably on one hand like the individuals like that carries themselves like you did, man. Like it was you guys were not rolling deep, man. Um you know what I mean? The ones that actually had their stuff together and were normal. Normal, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
That's the only word I could say, man. Normal. Um,
And for the most part, I was in 13 block, so you
okay.
already know.
Yeah, yeah. 13 was cool. 13 was cool. And that's kind of where we put, those types of individuals. Um, okay, from your perspective, those individuals that are on that yard, the ones that are all bad news, what do you think it is, man? Because it was driving me crazy. You think it was they grew up without a spanking? They grew up. What do you think they were off the charts like that?
Nah, everybody knows that Donovan Charlie Yard is one of the ones throughout the prison system that when you can't program at other prisons or you can't function, they send you there. It's a level 4 maximum security, and basically where they throw all the bad news at. Those guys are hands down, bro. That yard took the cake. I seen that. I seen. Yeah, I seen some pretty bad crap there, and I mean, people were just running in people's cells, stealing their stuff, uh, and me as a lifer trying to go home and trying to function in that kind of atmosphere. It was hostile. You know, I want to go home. I'm focused. I'm doing what I gotta do, but I gotta survive too. So sometimes, I'll be on edge, and I'm a convict. So it's like if you try to do something to me, then I'm gonna wind up hurting you, and I'm not just like if I hurt you, I might as well go all the way because I'm never gonna get out of prison. That's that's the all or nothing basically thinking.
I'm tracking, bro. I totally get it. Totally get it. Did it ever come close? Did it ever come close?
Yeah, it came close. I had one guy that I had assisted. He got stabbed on the main line, and he was still mad about him being stabbed because he knew I was a part of it, and he's over here pushing a line like he's a little hardcore little wannabe Cholito,
Yeah.
and I basically had to push back because if I showed fear, I already knew that these guys were gonna try and bump me, so I couldn't do it. So I basically, lucky enough, I knew a couple people, and I basically had him. He knew he didn't have support from his little buddies, and I called him out, and he's like, "Nah, man, I don't want no problems." It's like, okay, but when he had all his homeboys supporting him, I guess he thought he was gonna. He seen that I was a programmer, and wasn't that I didn't want to do nothing. But when he seen like, okay, this is what's gonna happen,
Right, right.
he backed down on it.
So you're
And
right. You're right, man. You see a lot of wild, scandalous stuff on that yard. What was your thoughts on the whole individuals occurring drug debts and then just leaving?
no, well, you see that throughout prison system. I mean, you see it more there because the influx of narcotics is on that yard. I mean, on that whole prison system. I mean, yeah. I mean, you see it everywhere, but Charlie Yard. I mean, they took the cake.
Yeah, I want to just paint that picture. I want to make it a point to the viewers when somebody's like this says it takes the cake. When somebody like me says it takes the cake, you gotta understand the homie right here was in the Pelican Bay riot. I was in Iraq getting blown up. This yard takes the cake. It's it takes the cake. What do you think could be done to fix that yard? Maybe ship everybody out and start fresh. Maybe getting you a new warden or something.
Fixing that yard, yeah, you probably have to start fresh because, yeah, that yard right there is, I don't know. It's been like that for what? It's probably like that to this day.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. You had a couple guys hanging on to the they climbed the basketball courts and were sitting inside the hoops and caused the Code 3 riots by just hanging on to the basketball courts a couple months ago,
That's
man.
crazy.
I'm sure you're not surprised, but all right. Tell me about your parole hearing where you got, the blessings. What was that like?
So you know what? One of the things that RJD did have was those that wanted a program. They had a lot of programs to offer. If you took advantage of them, then hey, you're the smart one. And there was a lot of smart guys in my crew. Like you said, we weren't the majority. We're definitely the minority. And I'm happy to say there's like about, I want to say 30 of us that paroled from Charlie Yard out here on the street, and I function with them. I talk to them on a daily. I run a group called Life After Life, but it wasn't easy, especially maneuvering through those waters and at that prison. But thankfully, they started doing overrides because I had so many points at that point that I was never going to drop down to level 3. But they started a new point system where you were getting overrides. So I was able to, after 4 years on Charlie Yard, I was able to go to the level 3, which was B Yard at the time. I know they changed it, but B Yard was cool. I landed there, and man, it sort of sucked because when I got to that 3 Yard, you don't get the option of just being put in any cell you want. And they put me in a cell with a little youngster, and I told him, "Look, I'm a lifer, bro. I'm programming, doing my thing. No drugs, no knives. I don't want that in my cell. If you're cool with that, I'll move in." He was like, "Yeah, move in." So I moved in, and about a couple of days after I moved in, he had respected what I said, but I guess he felt like he's gonna go drink on the yard, which he did, and I guess he drank and he came back to the cell. And this dude was heavily intoxicated to the point he had passed out, threw up all over himself. And in the morning, when the officer was doing the morning walk, at 6 o'clock, they hit their alarm because they thought I had done something to him.
Man,
Yeah, so it was one of those. I got put in a cage, and
man.
but thankfully, a lot of the officers, they know me, and they knew what I was about. And I told them, "Man, you guys can P-test me. I have no problem. I have no alcohol in my system," which they did.
Yeah.
And but now this guy had put my program in jeopardy, and I was mad about it. I was pretty mad about it, and I was like, "Man, if I get written up over some stupid stuff, I'm gonna wind up beating you up, dude."
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a small ass whooping. It's gonna be a good one.
Right.
But and I didn't want to do that anyways because I was on a whole different path, bro. I'm not trying to create more victims, but in 2017 I went to my board hearing. That gave me a 3-year denial. Pretty much I almost got granted. They told me give me some more clean time, come back. I went back in 2019, and I was granted parole, bro. And it's the best feeling when you're walking back to the yard, walking through that quad area after you just got your walking papers, bro. Man, it felt good.
Do they grant it to you then and there? Like when you heard it, did it feel unreal?
I don't want to say it felt unreal because this is something that most lifers we're fighting for. This, we're trying to change our behavior. We're trying to change our thinking, and it's something we fought for. So when you get that, it's okay, it's like going into the ring and fighting and winning, and you're you feel good. But you do feel like a weight's been lifted, like it's over and done.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Hey, I'm proud of you, dude. I'm proud of you. The way you carried yourself, the way you held, the way you showed. You refrained from participating in all that nonsense, man. Especially at RJD. Hey, man. Man, I had to throw in
Yeah,
the towel. I had to throw in the towel, dude.
yeah,
um,
yeah. Well, coming out to society, reintegrating back to society, bro. I mean, I went in as a kid, and I was locked up as a kid, so I didn't really have much of experience on the streets. So I had to learn how to be a responsible man coming home, bro. And there was difficulties because I had challenges as far as like learning how to set up a bank account, learning how to pay all my stuff online. But I took it like a challenge. I took it like everything. Like, you know what? I want it all. And I remember, my wife helping me. She's like, "Hey, I can do this for you." And I'm like, "No, no, no. I want to learn everything myself." But hey, I'm happy to struggle with all the learning disabilities that I think I was faced with.
That's good. No, I hear you, man. I hear the gratitude in your voice, and I hear you. That's good, man. Um,
For sure, bro.
before we close out, is there anything you want to say to the listeners, man? You got the ear, you got the world's ear right now. Maybe somebody that's in there, maybe somebody that's give people hope. The mic's yours.
Okay. Something I want to say to the listeners, not maybe if they got an incarcerated uh, convict that's in prison, even if it's an inmate, but and even for a correctional officer, humans are humans. We all make mistakes. Some people are teachable and some people can learn. And I want to give everybody that kind of hope for another day, something that you can look forward to. There's a life out here to be had, bro. You can come home. You can actually be successful. I own my own house today. I got a mortgage payment, but hey, it is what it is. It's part of being a responsible man. But they're gonna face difficulties in there. The challenges of changing your behavior it's not easy. It's like going from being like a cop, being a cop all their life, and then one day deciding like, you know what, I'm gonna be a criminal. All their learned behavior has to be changed. That thinking has to be changed in the opposite direction. So that's the same thing for a criminal. But can you do it? Yes, you can. You can do anything you set your mind to. They say the human brain is one of the most sophisticated computers this world has ever known. So, I mean, can you do it? You can. So, mine's a little bit of hope especially for lifers, our long-term offenders.
That's what's up, man. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for coming on this show, man. I really appreciate it. This is one of the best interviews, man. Just because I knew who you were, I know who you are, the growth, the struggle. You did it, man. You absolutely did it. Congratulations, dude. Um,
Yeah, I appreciate you, LT.
yeah. Let me close out the show, man, and then stay on the line real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, there you guys have it, man. This is what this whole thing is about, right? I letting you guys know, conduct yourself like if you're right, your world will be right. Okay, keep pushing forward.